Welcome to On the Record, and we're speaking with Jay from Spiceworks, who have kind of a new type of a model for what they do and how they get out there, and fits in really well with where the industry is going. So rather than me talk about it, the first question is, give us just a real background on, first of all, what the product does.
Sure. So Spiceworks is really a completely integrated platform for IT professionals and small and medium businesses or the IT service providers that serve them. And the product is a suite of inventory application, help desk, monitoring, troubleshooting tools, and very importantly, it's also an integrated community. There's over 1 million IT pros who use Spiceworks. They're in the community answering questions for each other, and that shows up in the application. So it's a combination of free applications and community for IT professionals.
And now you say it's free.
Right.
So somebody has to pay for it somewhere.
Sure.
How does that work?
Yeah, so we started the company about 4 years ago, and we had a pretty radical idea. And that was simply everything you and I do on the web, the consumer web, is free, whether we use Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And it's all supported by relevant advertising. So we decided to take exactly the same model for Spiceworks. And what it is over 200 technology companies, everybody from Microsoft to Intel to Rackspace and more, actually have targeted relevant advertising in the Spiceworks application. So the tech companies effectively pay for Spiceworks because they want to reach the 1 million IT pros who use it.
And of those 1 million IT pros, sure, approximately how many of them are from the IT channel?
About 15% of our users, or 150,000, are small managed service providers or IT service providers. And most of them are probably 1, 2, 3-person shops, typically working with 10 to 20, maybe 30 clients in a geographic area. And some of them actually are full-time IT pros during the day, and at night they moonlight as IT service providers, and they love the fact that they can use our platform for free to reach companies they normally wouldn't be able to support.
So let's just talk about just the channel itself. And your
Sure.
own, so we're going to get into your own opinions as to where it's going and so on. So I guess let's start with the cloud.
Right.
Is it a fad?
Absolutely not. I think it's here for the long run. It's absolutely a fundamental shift in technology. I think there's an important point to make though, and that's the following, and that is it's a hybrid world in that people are going to have on-premise networks and there's cloud services, and it's the blending of those two that's going to be our reality for probably the next 5 or 10 years. There's very few businesses that are entirely in the cloud unless you and I were to start one today and put all of our applications in the cloud. Most people have a reality of on-premise and cloud hardware and services. And so that's also something we're trying to address with Spiceworks by making both of those forms manageable within the application.
And so you're working with all these VARs and other types of people who are servicing the small and mid-sized business,
sure,
mostly small. As the cloud gets more and more popular and everybody's moving into it more and more, does that mean that the VAR, the traditional VARs we see them today, is gone? No,
I think, first of all, absolutely not. They stick around. I think what they do and the types of VARs probably shift a bit. And I think this has probably been, every shift in technology, people have to retool and come up with new skills, but the sort of challenges and opportunities that remain are just as great, if not more. And how long have we been hearing, I've lived through at least 2 or 3 major shifts in technology, and each one is supposedly the one that's going to really, really simplify IT infrastructure. And all it does, candidly, is create a new level of management headaches and things that can be integrated that for smart people, I think, creates a new opportunity for them.
So at some point, managed services is going to become just the status quo. Everybody will have it. It'll be totally, commoditized at some point. So you don't think so?
I don't know. I'm not sure everybody are completely commoditized, but continue.
Okay, close.
Right.
Most.
Sure.
So at that point, and we'll be seeing then, and then we'll be having all these services in the cloud for them, so the cloud will become more popular, and a lot of their on-premise stuff will be moving into the cloud. What would, in your opinion, what will the VAR actually be doing? Where does he come into play?
You know, and that I'll have to plead a little bit of, shall I say, you know, ignorance on some of the nuances of, you know, VAR versus service provider, in the sense of, you know, somebody selling that equipment. You know, if it's truly I'm a value-added reseller of the equipment, and that's the bulk of where I'm going to get my revenue today is moving those boxes. You know, that's an open question. I think, you know, I'm not sure that that's where the bulk of the money will be. But now, you know, moving to, again, a services integrator for those small and medium businesses to connect the services in all sorts of interesting ways across all sorts of platforms, whether it's Google to Salesforce to LinkedIn to Spiceworks to who knows what. I think there's all sorts of dollars that get moved into that, the software and services layer. And so it's maybe reselling or a value-added reseller of those services instead of a box itself.
Yeah, I would have to agree that it's, I mean, you look at it, you talk about your 3 generations or so of new transitions in this industry. I've been in the industry for 30 years now.
Right.
When I started, the average margins for hardware were somewhere between about 45 and 60%.
Right. Far different world.
Well, no, not really. It's just the magnitude of 10 or 1/10. Like it's now 4.5 to 6%. So, you know, we're not that far off. It's, you know, but 0 here and there. But no, but
usually an order of magnitude is pretty significant.
Yeah, I would guess so. So, but the point being though is if all that's happening, a VAR can't run a VAR business like they used to do.
Right.
There's just no margins really in there, and then when you take off everything else, so what do you think will be the primary thing that they're doing to make money?
Well, so, you know, I think a couple of things. One, you know, and that's, you know, when we look at our business and Spiceworks being free infrastructure for those service providers to deliver services, I think that gets pretty interesting, because now you suddenly take something that used to cost you money is gone. And so now when you look at the cost structure, I can provide services to a variety of companies with essentially a 0 cost structure beyond the people. So suddenly that gives me, you know, new economics in the model. 2, you can see all sorts of different distribution models, and then now those people from one location can reach out to companies in many different locations. You aren't necessarily geographically constrained. And again, 3, I think kind of the wild frontier is what people are going to be doing cross-platforms. And just give you one example, within Spiceworks, we've started to open up our platform and expose some APIs. And some crafty people are starting to build interesting extensions and other forms of applications on top of that. And I think as that continues to evolve and a market emerges around that, we'll start to see people making money, you know, a la the Apple App Store. You know, those are creating opportunities for software developers that nobody could even think of a few years ago. And now look at how that's redefining electronic arts and other people like that.